Please, don't shoot. I love this shit. Let's go.
Fucking I don't even know what that was. It's horse beef, man. What's going on? I'm talking about Dan, the Hangman Hooker today, because this dude has gone off the rails essentially, and he's now putting himself in potential legal trouble by putting on unsanctioned backyard brawls, which I'm perfectly okay with. I feel like if two consenting adults want to bang it out, and there is some kind of a prize behind it, and there are medical professionals on the scene, which I believe there actually were. We will get more into this article as we go along, but I'm all for it, man, because as things stand, the GFL crapped out. The PFL is looking pretty good. The UFC is still in a weird limbo state right now, potentially trickling downwards every single day, every single week, every single month. So at this point, I'll take any act of violence that I can get my hands on, as long as it's between two consenting individuals, and I'll truly just take anything I can get. But I was watching these clips from these backyard brawls put on by Dan Hooker in his own backyard, apparently, which is just crazy. Look at this shit, man. You got the neighbors watching and everything. It's fucked. Plus, we got some beautiful, just classic matchups. You get your blue-collar worker, I can only assume, on the right-hand side now. Man's built like a brick shithouse. Credit to him for even stepping in there with this scary-looking individual. But what is that? Is that an ankle monitor? And when I first noticed that, I thought that my eyes were deceiving me. I thought I was going a little crazy here. But then I did find a piece of this article that says one of the 32 fighters involved in a controversial and unregulated backyard fight contest at the weekend has been referred to police. The man whom Checkpoint understands to be a senior mongrel mob member from the Bay of Plenty. See, I'm not too sure what the mongrel mob is. After some brief research, I find that they are a pretty violent gang with members actually in Canada. So I am currently at risk of the mongrel mob. So I guess I need to watch my words very carefully, or these people might show up at my fucking front door. Oh, but they know better than to step to the beef, man. But the article then does go on to say, was wearing an electronic monitoring bracelet in footage of his fight released to social media, and was supposed to be attending a rehabilitation program. This man skipped rehab for some scraps, man. I kind of respect that in a way. Over 30 fighters gathered on Saturday in an undisclosed Auckland backyard to compete for a $50,000 prize. Social media posts show the event promoted by well-known MMA fighter Dan, the Hangman Hooker. And I have to say, dude, as potentially stupid and dangerous, and I mean, realistically, when I say stupid, I'm really talking about the potential legal ramifications for Dan Hooker. I would assume that him and his team and the people around him would have advised him well enough, right, and have read up on the law and made sure that this was a lawful event. But he still is some hot water for this. But I have to say that I have a lot of respect for this being put on, as it does harken back to the old school days of backyard brawls, right? Thinking about Kimbo Slice, how Jorge Masvidal made his name as well. Or even in this event here, this N1 hype event that was also promoted by Dan Hooker. And these dudes throw down, just people from all walks of life, all different countries coming in to just fight. And that's what these are, right? These are fights. It really reminds me of even the early UFC days where there wasn't a whole lot of technique, but a whole lot of tenacity and a whole lot of steroids. And these dudes were just banging, right? Trading in the middle, throwing hooks. The first one to go down goes down, right? And they shake hands afterwards, slap each other on the ass, maybe have a beer afterwards, and all is good in the world. And that's what this all reminds me of. Because, fuck, man, I don't know if I've seen people just stand in the middle and throw hooks like this in a long time, and it's just so exhilarating. Fuck all the UFC, all the technical nonsense. You want to go see Carlos Ulberg fucking circle a cage and throw inside leg kicks for 15 minutes, and you think that's entertaining? Hey, man, go watch the UFC. I'm sticking to my Dan Hooker fucking backyard brawls at this point. But I am really hoping that Dan Hooker puts on some more events in this type of like a warehouse setting with just mats on the floor and people creating the boundaries. I love that type of shit. It's very nostalgic for me. It reminds me a lot of the beatdown from Never Back Down. If you've seen Never Back Down, I have spoken about it on this channel before, but it's just very nostalgic for me, this type of a fight setting. But let's read more into the article and figure out what kind of legal trouble Dan Hooker could potentially be in here. Hill said there was no legal framework in place that administered amateur events such as King of the Streets event held at the weekend. The basic requirements you need is referees, qualified judges, and medical staff. By all accounts, they were at the event, he said. There was a good referee, very good referee. They did have 3 judges apparently, and there were medics checking the fighters afterwards. Unlike other countries, New Zealand did not have a combat sports commission regulating amateur events. Hill said that Boxing and Wrestling Act is just completely irrelevant to what you're looking at today, and there are real health and safety issues about it, he said. Although the event was billed as an amateur event, the winner of the King of the Streets tournament was a professional, Hill said. So I think That's to me the biggest issue here, is the fact that this is held as an amateur event, but then a full-blown professional comes in and just sweeps it and takes the prize for himself. I think maybe there should have been a better vetting process there to avoid a situation like that, because it is a bad look for the event when there are a bunch of people just hopping off the street looking to scrap, and then the winner comes in and he happens to be a professional. It is honestly a pretty bad look. The regulations are very loose and hazy, and they need to be tightened, and it's the government that needs to reinforce that through sport, through policing, etc. Otherwise, people can just do what they want. Despite the event being unregulated, reports from the weekend's fighting have been positive. Hill said, by all accounts, everyone is very well behaved and there were no problems or incidents at all. Great, great, great. But it's certainly intimidating to everyone else who wasn't involved in it. And that's what the promoters want. It's shock entertainment, which is, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty fair assessment of brawls being put on in a backyard involving potentially murderous gang members who have bodies on their record, you know what I'm saying? But I have to say utmost respect, because at least all of the participants were paid. So I'm not sure what the grand prize was. There's some conflicting information. Like they say a $50,000 grand prize, but then there were reports saying that the winner got $10,000 and that every participant was given $1,000 just to fight, which is great, man. The fact that everyone got paid to show. I mean, I've been to some amateur events and some lowly events in Canada, like around my area locally. And I know for a fact that some of the fighters get paid less than $1,000 to show. So at the very least, these guys got paid a decent amount of money, 4 figures. Cool, right? They take home $1,000. Maybe they get knocked out. A little concussion. Is the concussion worth it? Listen, probably not. But $1,000 for some people in today's economy can go a long way, right? It's pretty insignificant, but it can go a long way for some people. No, unless you live in Canada, of course. In that case, you can maybe get a bottle of olive oil, 4 chicken breasts, carton of eggs, and a bag of milk. And I figured this would be a pretty good time to give you guys a face reveal. Look at that. See, I wasn't lying. I do look exactly like Peter Yan. I got my whole upper face reconfigured to look just like him. And I feel like it came together rather beautifully. And just keep in mind, it's okay lighting and all that. This is right after a workout and all that. So I'm not even a big dude or anything. I'm really not. I'm a relatively lean guy, but I thought, damn, I'm looking pretty juicy right now. I gotta take a picture, and then I figured, you know what, I'll fucking give you guys a little sneak peek of what horse beef actually looks like in real life, dude. So there I am, guys. But now I have to show you guys some footage, man, from the COVID days. We're talking about backyard brawls. We're talking about some unsanctioned brawls. I used to put on some unsanctioned brawls. At least my buddies and I, we would pretty much just drive around, find a playground or some place with pre-made boundaries. It was usually a sandbox, some kind of a sand pit. So we would find these isolated locations and we would just throw down, I believe 3-minute rounds. And we didn't really hold back that much, right? And this was about 4 or 5 years ago or so. But I figured this was a pretty good time to just show you guys here. I know this is maybe a face reveal. It's kind of hard for you guys to make out my features and shit, which is good because I'm not exactly sure if I'm through with my anonymity yet. But you can see, dude, we were just slanging and banging this one dude. He wasn't exactly a very technical fighter, but the guy was a power lifter and very strong, and he was slinging he was chucking baseball pitches at my head, dude. And when he would land, even on my guard, he would ring my bell at times, man. You felt it, the dude. He was just very physically strong, not the worst technique in the world either, but very physically strong. But then this was my boy, who I was a bit more respectful with when tuning him up a bit, because he was a little bit cocky. When people, before people really find out that they don't know shit about fighting, they're overconfident about their ability to fight, right? And that was kind of this guy. And then I gave him the wake-up call that he needed. And then after this point, dude, he improved tenfold, and it was a beautiful thing to witness. It really was. But since these really, really stupid sandbox brawls that we used to do during COVID, I've started to take fight training and my fitness a lot more seriously since then. And I would honestly love for eventually actually step into a cage or in a boxing ring and compete specifically for your entertainment. I would love to actually go in there and put my money where my mouth is, box against one of these other YouTubers or something like that. I feel like there should be something like that in the future, where all of us MMA YouTubers come together and almost do some version of what Dan Hooker put on in his backyard. I feel like we should all do that because we all like to talk a whole lot of shit. We all like to talk a whole lot of shit about fighters, but we're not exactly doing it ourselves. And I know that's not exactly a prerequisite to give your opinions on something, but it would be a good look, I feel, if all of us just came together and banged it out at some point, agreed on some kind of location, and just banged it out. I think that'd be cool, man. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about Dan Hooker's weird fight league, which is awesome, right? I'm a huge fan personally. What you think about my fight footage? What do you think about my beautiful Peter Yan face? If you think I have a beautiful Peter Yan face, or even my armpit hair, if you think my armpit hair is repulsive and disgusting, then let me know in the comment section as well. And let me know what you think if all of us MMA YouTubers should come together and just fight each other, right? Because I feel like that would be fucking awesome. And do big numbers, I feel too, right? But anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.